So I just think players grow at their own speed, and I think the college environment allows you to do that, to lean into those things. So I had, when I first started, it was like I had aspirations to coach the best players and have access to the best environments in the world. And the University of Miami certainly is historic and frankly one of the most recognizable brands in the world, for all the reasons that are exceptional. So it's, in some ways this is like a dream job. You get the great academics, you have the best soccer conference in the country, and the city of Miami is unbelievable. It's really everything, and that's what's so exciting about being here and working with the players that actually want to be here and be a part of this. So so it's funny, the stuff that she's filming now actually isn't even, it's completely updated.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, like that's old. This is our Adidas room. Do make most conferences in here and things like that. Close to 1,300 SAT.
Yeah.
I typically say the closer you get to 100 on the Duolingo stuff, makes it easier for me to recruit you, but we're pretty flexible with bringing student athletes in. Recruit athletes the way I would say is your competitive mindset and nature has to apply both on the field and in the classroom too. And some of our athletes are like, well, I'm not a great student. And I'm like, you don't have to be a great student. You have to just want to do your best all the time. And the resources that we have here will, take what you feel is an average understanding and take you into a B and an A. We don't have many student athletes here that are going from an F to a D. We have student athletes that are going from C's to B's to A's. And as long as they bring that competitive fire to their academics, we've found a lot of success here. I think our team GPA is over to 3.5. So it's good. Yeah, but that's all part of this too. Like you want folks that are disciplined in their craft and disciplined off the field.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
Yes, so you're lucky that most of our players, I'm not going to say all of them, they have this mentality.
Yeah, but I don't think, I think in the US there are, different avenues for different people.
For sure.
And, one of the things that I've enjoyed about being in high academic environments is that, most of the time they're like-minded individuals and have family structure that is set up for that level of success too.
It's key. Yeah.
And again, if they're driven to do well, then they're going to be driven to do well in other parts of their lives too. And
100%.
I get to be a small portion of what their families and their individual personalities already set up for themselves.
Yeah.
So you can one of the things I think is the most exceptional about here, and not everybody will understand, is that when you think of University of Miami, what does everybody initially think of? The city, the buildings, South Beach. We're in Coral Gables, which is like, to me, it's like Beverly Hills. So you have down the street here and where I live, houses are $2 and $3 million.
Wow.
This is campus.
Wow. The rock chose already?
Yeah. So he played football here. So he's donated
this building?
Not the building, just the locker room.
I see. Oh, that's a football locker room.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Football is huge here, right?
Huge. And then obviously national championships and the things they just won. I don't know if this was from this year or not, or we're the newest. I know, national championship. So these are the old trophies too. But this is a Hall of Fame through here. A couple soccer players. Nutritionist, is that the way to say it? Performance, yeah. Well, I don't want to offend anybody.
No, I don't know. I think the proper term would be like dietitian.
Dietitian, got it.
Like, it depends. Like, yeah, some people would be upset. I don't care.
Yeah, but I want to use the right stuff. You did the academic piece, so.
How often does the team come here to lift during the season?
We're in the springtime. We like 3 days.
3 days.
In the fall, we're working through what we want that to look like. But it'll be geared towards, I think the days of doing an hour and a half in here are gonna get smaller, and we'll do a couple exercises here and there.
Nice.
So.
But yeah, so this player that's coming to IMG, she's the type of player that she would rather stay at home, study to do well on the exam, than going to a birthday party, going out to the.
Look, I think the big thing in here in Miami, because it's such a vibrant city, is you have to have players that want to come here first and do the academic and do the soccer, and because you do those things at a high level, you get the reward of everything else that Miami has to offer. And I think the struggle is, especially, in places that are, in schools that have a reputation and a place that's incredible like this, is, you find some players that want to come for everything that Miami has to offer first. And then, by the way, I get to go to school and then soccer. You can't, at this level in the ACC, you can't do it that way. You have to be completely driven in the first two things, and when there's time, fine, you can squeeze that in. But we have players that, enjoy, going out and renting a yacht, or renting, getting into downtown, or going to concerts, or going to Inter Miami games, or any of the professional teams that we have here. But, their commitment first is to, themselves in terms of their athletic performance and academic performance. And you just can't do it the other way at this level. Yeah. The pathway is to, is to professional. And whether that's professional in soccer, whether that's professional in being a doctor, an attorney, in the highest levels of business, you can do that from here. But you have to have the drive, the discipline, to do those things first.
How can you identify the right profiles?
You have to ask a lot of questions. Honestly, I think their student athletes now are very well coached, and I say that from an on the field thing, but also in an interview back and forth like this. I think they do understand, some of the right things to say and not. But as you holistically evaluate a person and whether or not they're the right fit to join your program, it's not a 30-minute meeting that defines that. It's a relationship built over time. Perfect. And I think you only get that way by investing in learning about them learning about you, learning about their families. And like I said, the biggest challenge that I have in any of this is when an agent or a club coach or a high school coach says, "Hey, we got to get this done right away." And that is like alarm bells for me, because no, it does not have to be right away. And there might be some programs that value that and are okay, quick to bring you in, but what's the problem with that? Quick to move you out. And, for us, the evaluation over time and the relationship building over time is important.
Perfect. During the timeline, when do you usually start looking for players? What year?
Yeah, I think, the recruiting never stops really. And I say recruiting, meaning the evaluation of talent happens, the minute, what I say to folks when I go do ID camps is the minute you put a number on your jersey with a logo on the front, you are putting yourself in a place to be evaluated. And, if you're, the second you get out of your car, walking to the field, how you deal with your parents, how you interact with people around you, your teammates, your coaches, how you warm up, all of those things are, to me, part of a person's, their characteristics and their personality. And that could happen at U15, that can happen at U16, all different levels. I could be going to watch a U17 game and I witness an interaction with a player and her teammates. She has a number on her back. I might go, whoa, that was interesting. Who is that? And you make a note, but I will say, like, the finality of it, of whether or not they can fit into the program, again, goes until their senior year, I feel like. It used to be where you would just make a decision on a player at 15, 16 years of age. And I don't think that's fair to the player or the university, as it were, with the way players are moving in and out of programs and things like that. I mean, I think it's, as mentioned to you before, it's important to evaluate over time.
Perfect. And in this soccer aspects, I know different positions, different needs, but if you could describe the right player for the program.
I think for me, it starts with a few things. Tough, right? And I say mentally and physically tough. Mentally tough is how fast you're able to overcome poor performances and bring your head down out of the clouds when you have an unbelievable performance. I had heard a coach years ago say it's about getting to the middle, which is your baseline. The players that excel at getting to their baseline the fastest are going to have a really long career because they don't dwell on mistakes, but also they know that incredible performances aren't who they are either. They're, outlying performances that, happen when, the opponent's correct, you feel amazing, the weather, ball bounces the right way. Like, all those things happen that you can't control sometimes, but you're just in an opportunity to take advantage of that. So when I say mentally tough, that's what I'm talking about. Physically tough, are you willing to, sacrifice for your teammates? Are you willing to, do the running, do the strength training, all of those things that, not many people see when you walk up to a field, but those are the things that set people apart. So we talk about tough, fit, meaning, again, like how willing you are to do the strength training, the running on the side. Competitive, you want to win everything. The best players that I've seen at coaching college want to win walking down the hall. They want to win, in Scrabble. They want to win in, everything that you do, because that's just habit forming, right? Hardworking, that one we say is pretty much the first ingredient that matters, right? What is the score? If the score is 8-0 or 0-8, is that person going to continue to give you the same effort? And coachable, right? To me, it's coachable players are the ones that are consistently asking for and looking for feedback. Now, feedback has changed over our time here, because I think there's a massive difference of asking for feedback in just a closed loop scenario where it's just, what can I do to get on the field? As opposed to somebody that's like, hey, I value playing. Coach, what are you looking for specifically that will get me there?
Perfect.
And then the last piece, and this is the thing that is, lost with kids that are overcoached, is the passion for the sport. What does it feel like to win games for you? What does it feel like to lose games for you? Are you, seeking opportunities to grow? And the care factor here has to be huge. And not just care for your own self, but care for your teammates, care for your family. You know, are you consistently putting other people ahead of yourself? Massive. Then all of those things, of course, technical, tactical, you know, their understanding of interpersonal relationships, those things are important, of course, but you know, those, if you don't have those 5 things, then, you know, and some of that can be taught when they're here, you know, some of that can be, but you know, those 5 or 6 things are things that we specifically look for in players.
Great, very good.
Yeah.
We have little kids that come and, you know, they get to eat on campus and, you know, forget it, right? So we really do have a barber shop on campus.
Nice.
We have a place for the girls to get nails done. You know, for us, it's you know, it's the ability to just, you know, train out here all year long. You know, it's 70 degrees in January, 75 degrees in January, so can't really beat that.
You practice in the plays here?
Yeah. Yeah. We know our turf facility management is incredible, so we move things around and we just make sure that, you know, everything is taken care of and they take care of us, you know. So
incredible. And with your experience along all of these years, what would you say is the most common mistake for a student athlete, and what is something that you noticed that student athletes that succeed, they have in common?
Mistakes. I think the biggest mistake is outsourcing every part of your development or your process to somewhere else completely. Now, what I mean by that is folks like you, and there's other folks that help student athletes navigate this. They have to take ownership of that process too. And you know, I believe that, you know, the agents and the folks that are connecting universities and players, it can't just be, you know, here's your job, go find me some place to play. The best ones are the ones that are, you know, taking ownership of their process. And again, like we said the biggest mistake is players that just, you know, set it and forget it. Because that's very telling about who they are and what they're after. You know, players that know what they want, and players that go out and try to experience all of those different things to figure out what they want, right? Like, you know, do they want a big school? Do they want a small school? Do they want high academic? Do they want city? Do they want rural? Big college town, little college town? I think it's important for players to go out and experience those things for themselves, not just take somebody's word for it. Like, go experience what a weekend is like on campus. You know, and that goes into their own personal development too. You know, you hear a lot here, like the coach is responsible for my confidence. Well, in some respects, okay, fine, but you're responsible for your own, how you prepare and how you are setting yourself up for training and for games and those things. And I guarantee you, the more that you prepare and the more that you're, you know, willing to study for the test, your confidence will show up in moments when it matters because of the preparation. And that goes in the recruiting process too. Preparation before you step on campus anywhere is massive.
For sure, 100%.
So.
We have a hospital on campus as well. So kids are injured, kids fall on, you know, tough times. We have the hospital right here.
Nice.
So we had a young lady tear her ACL. She had an MRI that night, surgery 2 days later. Whoa. All completely paid for by the university. All right, we got one more stop is Centennial Village, and then we'll head back, and then I have that meeting at noon, so.
unbelievable. So you would say the point that players that are succeeded through the experience is the preparation?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, if we're talking specifically about the recruiting process.
Along the way as well, so let's say a player gets here. What are the aspects that you noticed that usually the players that succeed as a student athlete, they all share in common?
Yeah, I think the preparation is the biggest thing, and what they're willing to do away from class, right? Like if you have a test on Friday and the only time you look at the material is Tuesday and Thursday, you're not going to have much success. And football's the same. You know, if the only time that you care about getting better at soccer is during training, you know, I don't think you're setting yourself up for the best level of success. And that's, you know, grabbing a ball and off the wall, doing some juggling, doing video analysis with your coaches. I mean, we're all here for that. And especially when I talk about the academic support, it's the same. We have folks here that are ready and willing to help you prepare. And I mentioned before, it's about the student athlete taking ownership of that process and not sitting back and waiting for opportunity to come to them. They have to go out and seek the opportunities for them to get individually better.
Perfect. Very good. Very good.
This is the Lennar Center. This is what I was talking about for the... You know, that's something that you learn over time too. You know, obviously what I talked about before was kids that have a baseline of it and are, you know, naturally moved towards that, but also the idea of, you know, giving kids the tools to do that here and helping them grow.
Coach, really appreciate it for having the time to give us a tour. Yeah. And I hope you enjoy it.
Thanks for coming, man. It's been great.
A pleasure. Thanks so much.
Yep.